Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. Poles overwhelmingly believe that their country is unprepared for a potential war with Russia, according to a new IBRIS survey. With only 8% of respondents confident in national readiness and just 9% trusting the military's capabilities, public anxiety is rising. Today, we're joined by Agnieszka Wołk-Łaniweska, editor-in-chief of NIE, to unpack the survey's findings, including public attitudes towards NATO, Ukraine, and defence spending, and explore what this reveals about Poland's sense of security. Agnieszka, excuse me for mispronouncing your name. It's,
no problem.
I'm still getting used to it. Okay, so tell us, initial impressions of the results.
I'm loving it, and I will tell you why. Because there is one very important question: how much of Poles are afraid that Russia will attack us? And this 12%.
Yeah, it's very low.
Which is great, because it means we are thinking for ourselves, we are level-headed, in spite of all this, sorry, I cannot find it, warmongering done by both sides of the political spectrum. The Prime Minister is doing this, the President, who just wants us to put 4% of GDP for armament in our constitution, which is crazy, really. So, well, 12% is on the fringe. It's like how many people believe that Elvis is still alive.
Yeah, right.
So I'm loving this. Because it means that we are not ready to believe all this, as I said, warmongering. And the question about how much we are unprepared, I don't know. And to be frank, I don't care, because it's not going to be a war with Russia. So why are we trying to put people in this state of panic?
What makes you so sure that Russia doesn't have the aggressive intent that many individuals, countries are saying, including, of course, Ukraine?
Well, Ukraine, it's a little different situation. It was illegal, of course, it was immoral, but it wasn't unprovoked, the aggression, and Ukraine is very important for Russia. They have 2,290 kilometers of border between Ukraine and Russia. But I'm still waiting for someone to explain to me what strategic goal would Vladimir Putin have to attack a NATO country. It's absurd. He said this, I know it's illegal almost to quote Vladimir Putin, but he said this 2 weeks ago in St. Petersburg. The NATO countries are spending $1.4 trillion, and armament is more than the rest of the world, including China and Russia together. So it would be completely crazy. It would be insane. And I don't know what would be the goal, because Poland has nothing to offer. We don't have a Russian minority, it's like 3,000 people. We don't have any, anything that they would want to have. Russia is the biggest country in the world. They don't need land. They don't need our coal. We don't have anything else.
But he has said that he felt that the breakdown of the Soviet Union was the greatest geopolitical disaster of the 20th century. You don't think that he might be wishing to rebuild that influence?
I think, well, when I'm asking people, why do you think Russia could attack NATO country, Poland? Only thing I can hear it's about Russian imperialism. I think it's not good enough. It's not good enough, this argument, to spend 5% of GDP on armament. We have public health in tatters. We have very big crisis in public education. We have terrible crisis in public housing. We have, because of it, we have a crisis in demographic, because people don't have the roof on their head, so they don't try to build, to start a family. So it's really terrible to spend such an incredible amount of money on armament.
Understood.
I think it's crazy.
So basically it should be spent somewhere else. It should be spent inside there. Now, it's interesting, 46% of respondents believe that military aid to Ukraine should be either reduced or suspended. Your thoughts?
I think people are simply tired with this situation. We're very open-minded and open-hearted and very cordial to our Ukrainians 3.5 years ago. But now there is this a little nationalistic sentiment against Ukrainians, and I think it is the most important part. The position of the words of President Zelensky, who's pretty arrogant toward his allies, like Poland, is also a part of it. But what I don't know if it was in this poll or another one, but there was this question about armament, and there was 70%, 70-something, 40, 74 people. Yes, we are for bigger spending, but when the question was, are you ready to do it at the expense of the social program? So only 50% was for this, and 46, the same amount you talk about, was against. So I think we really don't think the war is going to come to Poland, and we are starting to look logically on this.
Right. But I mean, Poland has done a great deal in terms of being a logistical hub for Ukraine. Do you think it should continue to perform at least that activity?
Yes, of course. Of course, we have to give help to a political, in this situation, because it's a terrible situation. But I don't think we should fight for more armament for Ukraine, because it doesn't change a thing. Ukraine is not able to win a war with Russia. It's only prolonging this war, which is terrible. And the other thing, I think we should talk more about the genocide in Gaza and less about Ukraine. This is something I have to say, because it's something that I find really terrible, that in Poland, Gaza is something we don't register even. And there is a genocide as we speak.
Right. Well, certainly, you know, perhaps at our next meeting we can talk about that. I'd really like to get into this poll itself, if we may. The other area that I'd like your view on is support for civilian crisis training. 72% of people support that. So there seems to me...
Obligatory. It was said obligatory.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it seems to me a bit of a contradiction. If there isn't going to be an attack by Russia, which is what most people think, then why do civilians want crisis training?
I think because everybody is trying to scare us into go to this training. But I can bet you that if one day people were forced to go to leave the job. Actually, no. If they were to have some free time from the work to go to the crisis training, they would go. But if they have to give their free time, or I don't know, during the weekend, they wouldn't go, and they would be pissed. Because the government would say us to do something, because we are pretty anarchistic as a society.
Do you feel the same way about about compulsory military training as well?
I think it's a terrible idea, and I think really I really hope that that someday, maybe in 2 years, but I don't see it very optimistically, there will be a government who stop to scare people, because everybody is trying to scare Polish people all the time. And we are scared, and we are ready to go to this training, whatever, even if we are not expecting Russia to attack us. It's kind of contrast in our thinking, yes?
Yeah.
But I don't think we have to worry about it.
It's interesting, Agnieszka. I mean, do you feel that culturally, over the last, let's say, 3 or 4 decades now, there has been a shift in attitude away from the sort of, the nationalist, if you like, attitude of, let's be ready. The Finns, for example, do it. The Swiss do it. The Israelis, of course, do compulsory military training, which is pretty diluted now in Europe. Would you agree with that? I
think it's good, and young people, even in Poland, are very open-minded now, and they are in the internet all the time. They'll see what's happening in the world, and they don't want to die for our country, which is good, because I don't think this idea is beautiful and sweet. There is this phrase, this is sweet and honorable
to die for your
country. It's not sweet, It's stupid. And
Yeah.
so...
Yeah. Unfortunately, Agnieszka, we're going to have to end it there. Short but very sweet. As always, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
And sharing your analysis with our audience.
It was really
Thank you.
nice.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of World Talks. Don't go away, though. Lots more coming up. Goodbye.